Hi everybody, as you can see I'm here with a very special person, my fellow pilgrim and our very own Archbishop, His Grace Anthony Fisher OP. Thanks for agreeing to talk to the boys and girls of St James.
Good to be with you, Mr. Munday, and great to see you kids.
My first question is to do with you being a Dominican. So of course our beloved parish priests and next door neighbours wear the same white habit as you, as a Dominican. And I want to ask you, how has your Dominican spirituality shaped your life?
Dominicans love to live together as a group of men, to pray together, to talk about things together, study and learn together, and then go out and preach from whatever they've learnt, whatever they've discovered in their study and their prayer. And I think even though I now don't live with the Dominicans anymore, I am still one deeply in my heart, and I still like to do those things. I love to gather with other people, talk to them about God and the things of God, share what I've learnt with the world.
So if there's one aspect of Dominican life that you might recommend to boys and girls aged, say, 10 to 12 years old, what would that be?
I think that passion for sharing what we know about God. At your age, you already know some things. You're already discovering some important things. You love God, and share that with other people. It's something Dominican that you can do.
Now, you're the Archbishop of Sydney, and one of your predecessors as Archbishop, Archbishop John B. Paulding, OSB, was a co-founder of the Sisters of the Good Samaritan, who founded our school together with Mother Scholastica Gibbons. So I wonder, reflecting on what you know of Archbishop Paulding and Mother Scholastica, what do you think they would have to teach young people these days?
I think that Bishop Paulding and Mother Scholastica are heroes that St James kids should be very proud to have been founded by them. They went everywhere to try and share the Catholic faith with people. John B. Paulding jumped on a horse and basically went over all of Australia to share his faith with people. And many of them were very poor people, they were imprisoned, they were suffering in various ways, they'd never received the sacraments, they'd never been taught anything, they didn't have a good school like you've got. And he went round to serve them, get to know them, and help them to know God better. And it was heroic, because it was a lot harder than it is these days to move around. We didn't have nice cars like we've got today, and buses and trains. It was on the back of a horse. It would have been hot and tiring and sweaty and dirty, and yet he did that because he loved people and he loved God. And Mother Scholastica was the same. She wanted to spread education around this country, and it didn't matter how hard it was, she was determined to do it. You can be heroes too. You can do great things for God and for people yourselves. If you have courage and you have ideals, you'll be the heroes we need.
I wonder how your predecessors as Archbishop influence you in your ministry.
I have loved reading the stories of my predecessors. Only after I became Archbishop of Sydney did I think, I've got to get to know the 8 that came before me, starting with Bishop, then Archbishop Paulding, and all the way through to Cardinal Pell, who died only this year. And each one of them has in different ways built up the church in Australia. They've done a lot to build up the church, especially in Sydney, but in the early days, Sydney extended to the whole of our continent or the whole of our state. So they had a big job to do. I've got probably a lot more help than they have, and I've got the benefit of all the things they built up that we get to use, like St James Church, like St James School, like so many churches and schools and hospitals and other things that we have around Australia. But each generation, we've each got to do our bit. We've got to contribute what we can, play our part. And I'm trying to do that now for Sydney, so we've got things to hand on to the next generation, and then it will be your job to build up the church in Sydney and hand it on to the generation after you.
Your Grace, I wonder what advice you might have for young boys and girls who might feel called to the priesthood or religious life later on.
I think I first started thinking of it when I was your age. I was an altar boy. I loved being an altar boy. I loved God and the things of God, and I wanted to help people. And so even when I was as young as you, I probably started thinking about that's maybe a life for me. I'd say to every one of you, think hard and pray hard about what is it God wants me to be? How can I serve God and people best? And you might ask him that as a prayer very directly. God, how do I serve you and serve other people best? And then have the courage to try and do that, to try and be that for God and for people. You only get one life, so you've got to make the most of that one life that you get. And you don't even know how long or short that will be. Mr. Munday and I today visited a boy who was only 15 years old when he died, and now he is going to be a saint. He's already called a blessed. He's going to be a saint. If he had left it till he was 50 to try and do great things, too late. So start now being a saint and be ready to say yes to God.
Well, Your Grace, thank you for giving your time to speak to the boys and girls of St James this afternoon. It's been really wonderful learning from you and travelling with you on privilege and sharing meals and sharing masses and getting to know you. And I really appreciate all the time and love you have for the boys and girls of St James.
Great. We've had a great pilgrimage together, Mr Munday and me, and 36 school principals from around Sydney. I think he's going to share lots of adventures and stories and maybe photos with you of the things he's seen in the Holy Land and in Italy with me. God bless you all.